Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're wading into, well, probably the deepest and most famous body of freshwater on the planet.
And for good reason.
Absolutely. Because the oldest mystery in cryptozoology feels completely new again. We're talking about the Loch Ness Monster, Nessie, who is making this huge comeback in the headlines, driven by multiple potential sightings just this year in 2025.
It's this incredible convergence of, myth and modernity. On one hand, you have these highly detailed, really resonant eyewitness reports.
Right, for people who've lived there their whole lives.
Exactly, for decades. But at the same time, you have scientists deploying the absolute cutting edge of technology. We're talking environmental DNA, advanced sonar, even AI detection systems.
And our mission today is to do a deep dive right into that tension. You've got the enduring power of folklore, and it's running right up against hard genomic data. We're going to examine these new 2025 reports, weigh them against the science they've provoked, and try to figure out if we're actually getting closer to an answer.
And to really get it, you first have to appreciate the scale of Loch Ness. It's not a lake, it's a vast cold trench.
One of the deepest in Europe.
In all of Europe. It stretches for 23 miles, and it plunges to depths of over 200 meters. That's deeper than the North Sea in some spots.
That's a staggering amount of water. What is it, something like 10 million cubic meters?
Exactly. And the water itself is unique. It's extremely dark, very peaty from all the surrounding soil, which means visibility is basically zero just a few feet down.
So it's the perfect hiding place.
It is the perfect stage for a legend. The size and the murkiness, that's why this mystery has lasted so long.
Okay, so let's unpack this revival, starting with the stories that really brought Nessie back into the news this year. Let's start in March 2025 on the shores of Dores Beach.
Dores Beach is a classic spot for sightings, and this one was particularly intriguing because of the conditions.
What were they like?
Perfectly calm and still. A witness saw what they described as a large dark mass, or a shadowy mass, just under the surface.
And if you've ever been on a big lake, you know how important that detail is? When the water's like glass, any disturbance is obvious. It's not just a wave from the wind.
Precisely. And the sighting was reported to the Loch Ness Center's general manager, Najina Ishak, who called it particularly captivating for that exact reason.
She said it was potentially the first significant sighting of the year.
And it lasted for several minutes. This wasn't a fleeting glimpse. The person had time to really look at what they were seeing.
Then, fast forward to August. This wasn't an isolated thing. We get the third official sighting of the year, this time from a local resident in Lochend.
And this is where the witness's credibility is just so compelling. They'd lived by the loch for 30 years.
30 years. I mean, you'd know what a log looks like. You'd know what a boat wake looks like.
You'd know all the usual suspects. And this person saw an unusual disturbance pattern on the surface of the water caused by something submerged. It lasted for about 2 minutes, and they specifically said they had never seen anything like this before. What's fascinating is how the organizations there, like Loch Ness Exploration, leverage these moments. Alan McKenna, he's turned this into a huge citizen science project.
How so?
He actively encourages the public to report everything. Any unusual surface disturbances, any patterns in the loch's natural behavior.
But so he's reframing it. It's not just about hunting for a monster anymore. It's about data collection.
That's it exactly. He frames every single observation as a valuable piece of insight. Maybe it's evidence of a large unknown animal, or maybe it's just new information about the loch's ecosystem.
So the myth is actually driving real scientific documentation.
It's this powerful feedback loop, isn't it? The belief brings in the tourism and the funding, which buys the advanced tech, which collects data that ironically might be the very thing that disproves the myth in the end.
And speaking of that tech, that takes us to the next phase of this search, moving from, a subjective human eye to objective high-tech instruments.
This is the modern hunt, led by a collaboration between the Loch Ness Center, the University of Aberdeen, and Loch Ness Exploration.
And they are throwing the entire technological toolkit at this. It's so far beyond the old grainy photos and submarines from the 70s. What's actually in this toolkit?
Oh, it's extensive. You've got commercial-grade sonar scanners, hydrophones to listen for strange sounds. They're using ROVs, remotely operated vehicles, that can go down over 100 meters.
Deeper than a person could safely go.
Way deeper. Plus drones with thermal imaging looking for heat signatures. And what's really new, AI-powered anomaly detection, scanning the camera feeds in real time.
They even tried baited underwater traps with night vision.
They did. And some of this has led to those frustratingly close calls that just keep the mystery alive.
Like the sonar anomaly recorded by Sean McLeod, the local skipper.
Right. He's running a tour boat, and his sonar picked up a large, moving shape, almost the size of his boat, deep, deep down.
And he's not a rookie. He says he's seen similar things hundreds of times over the years.
Over 200 similar readings in the last decade, he estimates. So this isn't a one-off glitch.
So you've got a clear, large contact on professional gear. Why isn't that definitive proof?
Well, this is where that necessary skepticism comes in. The sonar's manufacturer, Raymarine, they actually reviewed his footage.
And what did they say?
Their assessment was that the anomaly could be a large fish or, and this is the interesting part, a marine mammal.
Wait, a marine mammal?
Yeah.
There aren't any known large marine mammals living in Loch Ness. Doesn't that just create another mystery?
It absolutely does, and that is the beautiful, frustrating cycle of this search. The data analyst has to offer the most probable known explanation, even if it doesn't perfectly fit the ecosystem. It just leaves that question hanging there. If it wasn't a log, and it wasn't a known fish, what was it?
That ambiguity is everything. We also heard hydrophones picked up weird sounds right after they lowered a baited camera trap. But again, no picture.
Classic. You get the sensory data suggesting something's there, but never the visual confirmation you need for proof.
And this brings up a really modern problem, doesn't it? The issue of fakes.
A huge problem. Researchers are now working directly with data analysts just to weed out hoaxes. With AI-generated images and deepfakes getting so good, the challenge isn't just finding something, it's proving what you found is actually real.
So if sonar and cameras give us ambiguity, the next step, and this is arguably the most rigorous scientific effort ever, is to look at the genomics.
Right. This brings us to the environmental DNA, or eDNA, survey led by Professor Neil Gemmell.
The eDNA approach is it's revolutionary.
It's so elegant. The idea is that every single creature leaves behind these tiny molecular traces, skin cells, scales, feces, you name it.
A genetic fingerprint in the water.
Exactly. So you don't need to see the monster, you just need to find its DNA.
So tell us about that first big survey, Loch Ness 1.0.
That was back in 2018. Gemmell's team took over 250 water samples from all over the loch, end to end, even from 220 meters down. They used a technology called metabarcoding.
Which, for those of us who aren't geneticists, means what?
Think of it like a high-speed library check. Instead of looking for one specific book or one species, it rapidly scans and identifies all the different DNA fragments at once. It creates this massive, quick inventory of all the life in that sample.
And the result was a huge, firm conclusion from one of the most popular theories.
A definitive conclusion. It completely dismissed the idea that Nessie is a surviving Jurassic plesiosaur.
How so?
The survey found 0 reptile DNA, none, in any of the 250-plus samples. For a creature of that supposed size to exist, it would have to be shedding DNA. The fact that they found none, well, the plesiosaur theory is dead.
Wow. Okay, so that's a massive theory off the table. But the survey did find lots of other things.
Oh, absolutely. It was incredibly accurate. They found all 13 known fish species in the loch, frogs, ducks, even DNA from cows and dogs washing in from the land. But one species stood out.
The famous eel hypothesis.
Exactly. Eel DNA was found at every single location they sampled, top to bottom, end to end.
So Gemmell's idea is what? That Nessie is just a giant eel.
Not necessarily a giant one, like 20 feet long, but he suggests that the huge population of normal-sized eels could explain many sightings. You see a few of them swimming together, their long bodies undulating, viewed from a distance through murky water. It could easily be mistaken for one large creature.
But of course, the true believers push back against the DNA findings.
Naturally, Gemmell said he heard it all. You went at the wrong time of year, or Nessie was on holiday. My favorite was, Nessie knows how to evade your science.
And to be fair, even Gemmell himself admitted there were limitations to that first survey, right?
He was very upfront about it. He said, and I'm quoting here, sampling, "A few hundreds of cubic liters of water is not much in a lake which is estimated to have something like 10 million. A single snapshot in time isn't the whole story."
Which brings us to Loch Ness 2.0.
Precisely. The goal now is to move to continuous monitoring. They're developing passive eDNA collection systems that could monitor the loch for a year or even longer.
And they're using a more advanced technology called shotgun sequencing. What's the difference?
So if metabarcoding is like reading the chapter titles of the library, shotgun sequencing is like taking every single book, shredding every page, and using a supercomputer to piece all the genomes back together. It's a much higher resolution, more complete picture of the ecosystem.
And that kind of data has value way beyond just monster hunting.
Way beyond. With that data, they can track changes in populations over time. For example, they can monitor the spread of invasive species, like the pink salmon that have shown up recently. So the hunt for a myth ends up creating cutting-edge tools for real-world conservation.
So even with the huge scientific skepticism, the search for Nessie is literally fueling a revolution in how we monitor these vital freshwater ecosystems. So if we pull all of this together, we're left with this really clear, compelling conflict. On one side, you have these vivid, detailed eyewitness reports from 2025.
People who know the loch, seeing something genuinely strange under perfect conditions. It's personal, it's compelling.
And on the other side, you have the most advanced science we can throw at it, the eDNA survey, which points strongly toward known animals like eels or natural phenomena.
Right. The science has pretty much killed the plesiosaur theory and given us a very plausible, if less exciting, explanation.
It's that classic battle, isn't
Yeah.
it? The human need to believe versus the scientific commitment to evidence.
And that commitment is so valuable no matter what they find. Even if there's no monster, the drive to solve the mystery is creating incredible technology. That passive eDNA collection could be used to monitor vulnerable ecosystems all over the world.
The sources say the Loch Ness Center is committed to solving this once and for all with these next-gen tools. And look, if they ever did confirm an unknown large creature, it would be one of the biggest zoological discoveries in decades.
No question. But here's the thought we want to leave you with today. Given the massive cultural and economic impact of the Nessie myth, it supports that entire region.
Right.
What's the real cost of solving the mystery completely?
So for you, listening right now, which is more compelling, the definitive scientific answer that explains it all away, or that enduring human desire to believe that something huge and ancient and unknown is still down there in the dark, just waiting to be found?
That's what we leave you with.
We'll see you in the next deep dive.